evening, ladies and gentlemen. On this nice, snowy, cool evening, we're coming to you from the Channel 3 studio. And tonight I have with me the President of the City Council, just elected. It's not new to him. He's been President before, but he was just elected last Monday night, so he gets to be here tonight. Fran Schomel, longtime City Council person and a longtime citizen of Connersville. He's going to help us try to portray the state of the city as we go along. We also have with us tonight Daryl Smith from the News Examiner. I asked Daryl, I said, Daryl, we need you to come as an independent person to come and put Fran and I on the spot and ask questions and see where we're going to be in 2014 and any questions about 2013. So I'd like to start out by saying we passed a budget back and had to be passed by November 1st. A budget for the city of $13,589,194. The budget that was handed to me, and of course to Fran also, when we took office in 2008 and January 1st, was $13,732,829. And I guess the point I wanted to make, we're $220,000+ less 6 years later, and we're still able to operate the city, and we've been able to do some, I think, marvelous improvements. The other figures that go along with this, and I don't want to bore you with figures, but in 2011, in the water department, we took in $1,822,000, and we had left over after we paid all expenses $139,836. Last year we had $169,000 after expenses. This year $417,845. As you can see, we did raise the water some last year twice, two different intervals, 6% total, wasn't it, Fran?
Yes.
And we're struggling to just keep ahead of the game. Now, in wastewater, it's even harder. At the end of this year, we had $14,334.78 in actual profit after handling the wastewater. And then, of course, in stormwater, we're way down because we did a project and we paid for it out of our own money, out of the Connersville stormwater money rather than a grant because we weren't able to get a grant. I'm telling you these things to let you know that we're running okay. But every year and every month it's nip and tuck. It's not, we're not flourishing. We're trying to hold the line on water and sewer, and I think we can for another year or two. We're working today with at least 6 less people over at the utility, and since Bill Ammerman has retired, we promoted Dave Nutty to superintendent, and we haven't replaced an assistant superintendent, which is a $50,000+ benefit job. Main reason we haven't replaced him is we haven't found anybody that wanted to move here and had the qualifications to take that job, and we're reluctant to spend the money. So that's kind of how we stand just on the gross figures on our money. In 2008, we received from excise tax and property tax $8,387,257. In 2013, we received $6,530,863.44, $250,000 less than we received in 2008, but we had basically the same expenses. We have fire, we have police, we have streets, we have parks, and all the other things that the city is required to do, trash, recycle, curbside pickup on Fridays for your yard waste. So I think you need to commend our employees, you need to commend our administrative people, our department heads. We've been able to operate basically the same services in Connersville now since 2008 into and starting 2014 for $2,500,000 less money than we operated in 7, 6, and 5, 2007, 6, and 5. Fran, you want to elaborate on those things, what you know the facts just like I do.
Well, I think we're to be commended, and I certainly would thank my colleagues on the council for the help that we give, the guidance that Julie and you give the council. We've gone along with you because what you folks present makes sense, and I'm very proud of the fact that we're operating under what we did 8 years ago with the amount of money that has changed in value. I'm not sure how we do it, and I think we're the envy of quite a few cities that around here that see their budgets really balloon quite a bit, and we've been able to continue all the services that you mentioned to the city and for less money. So I'm very proud of that, and again, I think it's up to the leadership of the administration a great deal.
Well, we keep trying. I think that I'd like to talk a little bit about our major services, Fran, and you know our major expense is health insurance. And
yes,
we have a tremendous cost. What is it, $2.9 million in
yes.
health insurance alone?
Yes.
When you talk about that, that comes off of that figure, that $6 million figure right off the top. And then, of course, in the city, it's mostly wages, some equipment, repairs, and replacements. I'd like to talk a little bit about what we've been able to accomplish in the year of 2013. And I think one of the big things, of course, everybody would agree, the bicentennial. For a city to be 200 years old and to celebrate like we did for 10 days, it was basically all paid for by donations. The city put a little bit of riverboat money into it, and the foundation did. But it was those donations for $100 to $1,000 to $500 and $10 and $20 donations that made all that possible. And of course, I want to thank the committee for doing that. There is some money left in that fund, and within the next few months, this Board of Works will be deciding what should be done with that money. The Bicentennial Committee, I promised them we would commemorate that, and we'll be putting a couple of plaques for the bicentennial and the centennial someplace eventually. The park improvements, we refinanced the pool, and that saved us $55,000 over the life of the bond, which is 10 years. So if I'm counting right, that's about $5,000 a year. We were able to put the new Scores booth concession stand over in Industrial Park, and we did that. We used a little bit of riverboat money. UEA gave us some money, and we did that in-house. And I think, have you been over there? It's a beautiful
yes,
complex.
I've seen it. It's very nice. It's very functional, and it takes care of a lot of our problems that we had over there.
And just one building to take
That's
care
right.
of. Yeah. Nice, clean restrooms.
Yes.
And then, of course, we realized that the covered bridge in the park was leaning to the north. And this fall, we were able to, with our own people, we stabilized that bridge. We got new foundations and steel under it, and just as soon as the weather clears, we intend to lay rock around it to make it look natural like it's supposed to look. We were able to transfer the Vistion building over to Wayzata. That was completed in October 21st, 2013. I had the privilege last week on Thursday to tour that building. They are just about ready to start building cabinets there. A lot of their racks are in. They're painting the inside. They've demoed all the mezzanines, and they have a clear span and all new lighting, new electric and heat. It's just beautiful inside there. It's gorgeous. 500,000 square feet has been renovated, plus they're working on the other square footage. They're telling me now that they'll be building product there at about the end of February, 1st of March.
Good.
So every day you see more cars. They have an HR person working up there every day. They have an assistant. And Tim Millio's here for 3 months. He's living here, he and his wife, and he's ramrodding the thing. There's 9 people in Minnesota being trained to take the reins to run this shop when they start up. So that's where we stand on that. That was a wonderful thing. That's going to be about 309 jobs when they're ramped up to producing cabinets. And, of course, they'll be shipping, and there's going to be a lot of activity up there. We were able to transfer the Pramco property over on Western Avenue, 1550. It took us a long time, but we finally got that cleaned up. We got it cleared up, and that's been transferred. And I know the people that have bought that, Reclaimed Energy, have plans for that corner. We just got to be patient. We finally finished that on July 1st, 2013. During the year of 13, we were able to get the automated trash truck up and working. I hear nothing but good comments. I don't hear any. I don't know. Do you hear bad comments, Fran?
No, none at all. I think people are very pleased with the new trash pickup system.
So probably in another few months, we'll be able to put some numbers to that and see what we've been able to save.
Yes.
The big thing it's done is it's freed up our limited supply of men over at the street department to do many other things. And that's how we've accomplished so many other things, because we only got one man running a trash truck instead of 6.
Right.
We voluntarily annexed 17.5 acres in the north end from Mr. Guffins, and he's planning a development up there. That's part of the Burns Farm up by the airport. That was done. When you look over all the things that happened, you don't realize we developed that sister city relationship with Tanang District in China. We continue to communicate with them. They've invited us to come over there. I just don't want to go. I want someone else to go. I want Fran to go.
Yeah.
But we've developed that relationship, so when those jobs start to come this way, and I know they will, we'll be right in line. We purchased new Christmas decorations downtown. UEA gave us $3,000, and we used our promotion fund, $3,000. And I had lots of comments, and it was even on TV, the beautiful Christmas decorations. I think that was nice. At the wastewater treatment plant, we replaced the sewage pumps and controls. That whole process is, what, 50 or 60 years old, right? Down there, that in the 50s it was put in, wasn't it?
Under Mayor Collins, I believe he was in office when it was constructed, and that would have been, yes, that
54, I think you folks were saying.
54.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the grit separators are put in new. We got the new GE blower, which is built right here in Connersville, installed down there to blow the air into it. And we replaced the skimmer bars, and that's so much better than it was. We still got a long way to go. We continue to repair down there. We did refinance the water construction bond and save $50,000 annually. Now that's over an 8-year period. 5 times 8 is 40. So if I'm thinking right, that's $400,000 we saved.
Right.
We gave the first retail tax abatement up on Connersville Commons. That's the little shopping center going on the south of the road that goes to the Walmart store, and they're estimated that there'll be $500,000 in salaries in there and 40 jobs. We signed with Strand and Associates, mandated by the federal government, to start our ADA transition plan, and the plan inside the city itself is pretty much along. We're going to start the buildings.
You might mention what that is, Your Honor.
Okay, you go ahead and explain it.
Well, I think you know more about it than I do, but it's making everything accessible for those folks with disabilities. I mean, we're fixing curbs and sidewalks and everything that pertains to that. So that's a big project.
It'll take several years to get it done, but we've got the first part of it done. I was talking to a mayor either this week or last week, and they didn't start theirs yet. If you don't have your transition plan in place, you're not eligible for federal money. And we have 3 federal projects that we applied for this week. The Safe Routes to School, which is sidewalks for kids.
Yes.
And then we applied for a sidewalk from 37th to Walmart. We applied through INDOT, through the State Highway Department. And we also applied for a grant to run the separation of sewer from 24th to 30th.
Good.
So those 2 projects have been applied for, and we were up there a week ago. I intend to call them in the morning and see where we are. The way you do this, you submit projects in the fall, and you submit projects in the spring, and then you hope you get funded. So we got those 3 projects in, and the county has a project in on a bridge, and I don't remember the number of the bridge.
I've never heard.
It's Bridge 55 or something like that, but they have a project that they've applied for. So we're after all the money that we can get, all the federal money we can get.
Absolutely. It's our money, so let's go get it.
In economic development, we responded to 33 leads. We had site visits, 3. We had a Chinese company come in. We worked on recycling. We have shown the D&M building 4 times. Of course, Connersville Commons, we've worked with them on building that little shopping center. Up in that shopping center, economic development put $10,000 toward the water line to extend the water line down past the Connersville Commons so that the next group of people that want to go in there, the water will be there. We talked with a gun company and contacted 4 other gun companies with the hope of persuading them to come to our community, as the other states they were in or located in didn't like guns, and we do. We worked with Beretta, Alfred Manufacturing, Caesar, Gnuri, and Magpul. We worked on a project called Project Maury, which was an engine company. We worked on trying to get them in the Viston building before we got in Wayzata. That didn't pan out. The Arsenoff Group, that was, they wanted to make alcohol and grind corn cobs, and that hasn't come about. The former mayor of Newcastle is working on that project. He has been hired by that company. We are presently talking with a company that would like to unload the turbine blades up at our airport on and off the railroad, and the airport board approved moving forward to look at that, I think 2 weeks ago. So that they'll be looking at that. I think many of these projects we don't fit them. We had that project Jet. It was a defense company site visit, but we didn't have anything here that they could use. We have been working with a project called Flush. They manufacture restrooms that go on oil rigs, and they used part of our utility down here to practice with it to see how it worked. We worked with a couple of retail people on the old Kmart building. Of course, I talked about Pramco, and then with the project, we called it Woodland. Wayzata now, it's a company, and they have putting $12.5 million investment into it, going to employ 309 people, $12 to $16 an hour, plus the foreman and the engineers and all the other things, so that's going to be a great project. I just yesterday had lunch with the project we call Greenfish. This is Lifetime Farms. It's going to be an organic farming operation. It's going to be upwards of 400 workers, and that'll be starting here in the spring of 2014. You'll be hearing about it a lot.
Good.
We're kind of working with the school and their ag program out there. You probably like that program. So
yes,
it's a for sure thing. We're ready to close on the land. We were waiting on the survey, and I think we got the survey yesterday. We assisted SAPA in their expansion, and we continue to work with them. More Precision has put on more people to work. That's a new Dave Moore and his son. They're doing just great over there.
Good.
We helped K&K Electric get their new property and put their new roof on, and that's going good. We have a revolving loan with Lake Innovative. Then we helped James Hamilton with the James Hamilton Lawn Care Specialist up on State Road 1. So we did accomplish some things in 2013 that have really put some people to work. In the park, we completed the John Roberts building. Finally, that was a long, hard thing. We got it done.
Well, it's important to point out that no tax money was used on that. It was
That's
all
right. It was all riverboat
donations.
and donation.
It's very important. I think that we can be
40,000 plus in donations.
Karen is very, very, very proud of that building, and I think it's a good thing that we saved it because it is historic, built back in the 30s, and as you say, it's named after the person that donated the land to Roberts Park way back when for a park. So,
if I remember right, it only stood by one vote One more vote, it would have got tore down, right?
Yes, it was a 4-3 vote. Yes,
4-3 vote to
to
keep it.
demolish the building. Yes, and do, I don't know what they wanted to do with the land once they tore the building down, but luckily we had 4 people that saw into the future and saw the importance of saving that building.
Yeah. It's a beautiful building. It's being used. We've rented the Miller building more in 2013 than we did in 8, 9, and 10. It just keeps growing.
Yes.
And of course, we continue to rent the 4-H building, we call it, or the Roberts building, whichever you want to. So it is a great thing.
Mayor, just to interrupt you, you
Go
were
ahead.
talking about the new businesses coming. We forgot Tractor Supply.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It's an excellent store, and it serves a need for all the folks that are in agriculture, that they don't have to travel somewhere else to get the supplies that they need.
I thought I had a couple other things written down here, but I guess we did several other things in the park. I can't remember, but I mean we've done so many things. We got roofs and
The pavilion, I know you
yeah,
wanted to talk
we're-
about the improvements being made to the pavilion.
the Lions Club gave us the money, and we're in the process of putting that white beadboard on the inside, and then we're going to seal the bottom so birds can't get up in the wall. In fact, they worked on that yesterday. And then today it turned cold again. Well, that's just kind of an overview of the state of the city. Fran, you got anything you want to add to it before
Well,
we let
just
him
that,
ask us questions?
We talked about constructing a building at the park to store our equipment, get it out of the weather. I think that's important. And also at the street department, we want to get a building over there to protect the equipment, that when it's not used, that it is protected from the elements. So those are things that are in our sights right now.
Well, go at us, Daryl.
Well, you were
20
doing-
minutes, we just kind of told you the highlights of
Well, that's,
2013.
I'm glad you refreshed my memory. We had to go through the old newspapers to check the top 10 stories of the year, and you forget a lot of that.
That's right.
A lot of those stories, we forgot all about that when we went back through. And one of them, and you there at the very end, you were talking about all the new construction. There's a lot more new construction going on. There's Hardee's and the hospital added some
Right,
construction.
yeah,
So
Area of the north.
Yeah.
right, so
Psych ward up there, that
Yes,
was,
that's
yeah.
right. Forgot about those.
so
Yes.
there's a
We worked with Hardy somewhat, and we continue to work with them. And they've had a lot of bad weather to build.
It's going to be a
I
great
would-
improvement for that.
I would hate to think what that'd be like out working. So, well, let's go back to the budgets.
Okay.
And if my memory's correct, and it's not always correct, but this year's budget is some $400,000 higher than last year's budget. Still under what you inherited, but as you look at the city, the unemployment remains very high.
Yes.
Population certainly I don't think is growing, and of course you face the tax caps. How can you keep raising the budget, even if it's rather small, but how can you keep raising the budget when you face all
Right.
these negative...
I know where you're coming from, unless there's assessments are changed to increase the taxes
Right.
through cap. Right. Well, that's an excellent question, but I think it's through strong management. We got some people that are excellent with the figures, looking ahead, seeing where we're coming from and where we're headed and what money's available. So I'm real pleased with the people that are in charge of the finances.
What we do, Daryl, is we have a budget of $13,589,194. In 2013, with excise tax and property tax, we brought in $6,530,863.44. We look at that. We know that is not enough to fund the city, but there are other avenues of financing. grants. And we go after every grant. We've been able to buy vests for the policemen. We've been able to buy things at the fire station, at the first aid unit. We've been with grants. So that's a big help. And then we have reduced our employees. Mm-hmm. Now, we still have the coverage. We have 25 policemen. We have 25 firemen. We've got 7 firemen on duty every day. We've got 4 EMTs on duty every day. I'm not going to tell you how many policemen, because then the bad guys will know how many policemen we got working. But we've been able to use part-time employees, so we don't have to pay benefits. Up until now, the Affordable Care Act has hit us. We've had a tough time because one shift at the fire station is 24 hours. Basically, that's all they can work. So we've been able to save money with those things. We have got at least 3 people on staff between parks and city and streets that can do electric, they can do concrete, roofs, fix a door lock, paint, and we are doing everything internal that used to be farmed out. Saves you a ton of money. All those things are saving money. But you are absolutely right. When you look at last year, we collected $6,530,863.44 against a budget of $13 million. We had to find a lot of money. Now, we do get some cigarette money. We get some road money from road gasoline tax. All those are put together. That's what we blacktop with. So you kind of like you run your house, you know. Mama gets a little money for selling the milk from the goat, and you get a little money for this, and you get a little money for that, and you do it. But we will have to change our ways, and we're going to have to be very careful, because when you had a reserve, a general account with money in it, and every time you have to take that additional appropriation, it's going, the cookie jar is going like this. That's why we're so bloomin' careful what we're doing. What's the answer? Jobs, more people working, more people paying taxes, more people buying houses. That's the answer. Is that going to happen? You have to have a crystal ball to figure that out. But we're making a little bit of a bite into it. We do have more people working than we did 2 years ago. So, Fran, is there any other answer
besides
jobs?
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head by reducing personnel because they're so expensive. But to me, that's the big thing. And I appreciate our workers who are picking up the slack. I mean, we at one time had 30 and 35 police and firemen, and now we don't have that many. You can't afford it. But we're still, as you say, protecting the citizens, and that's our number one priority. The insurance costs keep going up, but there's nothing, that's out of our control. But as you pointed out, we spending carefully with the riverboat money. We use that in place of taxes.
Wisely,
and there are just a lot of ways that we've been able to save that has resulted in what we're seeing.
The governor are our good friends. We have been for a long time. He was down. We spent an hour and a half together just a while back, privately. And I told him that cities, Class 3 cities such as ours, were struggling. I noticed that he's proposed to drop the equipment tax. That would absolutely be devastating to us because we do have manufacturing here that paying the equipment tax.
Yes.
There would have to be another source of income come along. One thing that we could do in Connersville, and I've talked with the city council about it, we passed a COIT tax for property tax relief prior to the tax caps coming on. Do you remember that?
Right.
Okay, that's 3%. Really, with the tax caps in place, that's no longer needed. We could drop that COIT tax and put on a public safety tax which would fund police and fire. But as it stands today, the law says, state Indiana, you've got to have both COIT tax before you can have public safety. I have asked IAC, drop that rule that we got to have both those taxes. Let us drop our COIT tax and go to a public safety tax, and it would really pull us out of the hole. Mm-hmm. Because right today, the COIT tax is really not necessary. People are hitting the caps and saving money on their property. Everybody's property tax today is probably 3/4 of what it was 6 years ago.
Yes.
So, I told the governor that. I asked him. I said, this is what we need here in Connersville. I don't know what other cities need. But that money then would go directly into public safety, which would be fire and police. That would really help us.
Would that pay for it?
No.
Would what they allow you to tax?
3%. No, it wouldn't pay the bill, but it would cut out about 40%. It would pay about 40% of what we're having to pay. It would really, that would be the answer for us. And we don't need that coin tax because people are hitting and they're paying that tax, and we can't use that money for public safety. It's for property tax relief. And with the tax caps, you don't need that. It was a good idea when we did it.
Sure.
And we could drop it, but we can't put the public safety unless we have both those taxes. So.
Right. Did you have what was the budget surplus that you carried over from 2013?
I can't tell you that, and it's too early in the year to tell you because we're still paying bills from last year. In another month, I'll be able to tell you that, what we carried over. You could look at our fund report, which we just got our fall tax draw, and our funds look really good, but you can't tell until you get all the bills paid, and then the girls in the office will be able to tell us.
Okay.
What you should be trying to do is add a little bit to that general fund every year.
Right.
So then when you have to draw from, you got it. I don't think we've been able to add to it the last 2-3 years.
Okay. Well, with the snow outside,
We're
I
gonna have
don't
a lot
know.
of
Did you
overtime.
budget enough in your budget to take care of that this year? And I know.
No.
Did you have to do
No.
any additionals? I don't
We
remember
haven't-
any additionals
we
from
haven't yet, but
2013.
we're going to have a tremendous overtime. I mean, we've had snow in December and January. We're going to have a lot of overtime. And we filled that salt shed, I think, 3 times. Last year we filled it 1 time.
Yeah. I know. I haven't seen those figures, but I know you've basically been running the truck since about the 1st of December.
I had to call them out again today.
Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to have to. I watched the weather this morning, and I called Joby, and he said, they were hauling manure today. We haul the manure from the barns out of there, take it
The
down
horse
to
barns?
transfer, and then we run it through that machine and grind it and mix it with mulch. And we were hauling manure down there because we haven't been able to haul manure. He had to quit right in the middle of the deal, drop a load of manure and put a plow on, and we had, I think we had 3 plows, and we had to salt. So even this little 2 inches of snow takes a lot of money. But luckily it came in the middle of the day. We didn't have to pay overtime.
Well, I was going to say most of them have been coming on weekends.
That's
and
right. No.
After hours.
Yeah.
And, so.
But this is a direct result of the tax caps and Vistion loss. We've
Right.
gone from 8,700,000 down to 6,530,000. And that's directly related to that.
Right. Well, let's go back to Wayzata. Have they given any indication? You've mentioned the employees they've hired, the ones that are here, the ones that are in Minnesota. But have they given you any indication when they will start hiring for just the line workers?
Yeah, I think that'll be happening next few weeks. Yeah, I think that I know they were looking at applications, and they talked to me about several different people. They just last week got their HR person in place, and so they're moving forward. They have to have these people to build these cabinets, and all these people are going to come from Connersville. There may be a few move here from Minnesota, but they're going to be Connersville people. That's why we have the 9 people up there learning how to run the operation. This is going to be a really neat operation, and they're going to have an open house where people will be able to see it eventually in their time. This is no small thing to go up there and renovate that building. Absolutely amazing what they've done. In the room where they're going to finish the cabinets, they had Hartzels with great big scrubbers scrubbing the floor right down, and then they seal that floor. That has to be completely airtight because they don't want any dust in the finishes on the cabinets.
Is it going to actually be making them here, cutting the wood, or is it going to be just assembly?
Some of both. Some of both. Most of the products that they use come in cut and ready. They have a plant in China that produces a lot of that and will be shipped here and put together. But it'll be assembled, finished, shipped, and you know how they sell their cabinets. They sell them on the internet. You want cabinets in your kitchen, they send you a measuring kit. You measure your kitchen, you follow their detail. They build those cabinets, they ship them out to you, and your contractor puts them in. They've been very successful.
Obviously.
Very successful.
What are their plans for the rest of the plant, Mary?
Well, they haven't told me that.
Oh, okay. All right.
We've speculated on some of those things, and I don't want to speculate here on TV.
Sure.
But and I've kidded them a little bit about what I think I know what they're going to do.
But they are refurbishing it the entire.
500,000 square feet is completely being refurbished, and the other they're demoing it and getting ready so it's usable.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, you probably noticed the old treatment plant and all that stuff around the back. It's being demolished.
Yes,
and gone,
they don't
cleaned
need
up.
that.
Yeah.
Right.
They're still allowing the city. We store our extra containers, our trash containers. We're storing our lawnmowers and a lot of our stuff for the winter up there. We made a deal with them. We traded some service for them storing our stuff because we don't have enough place to store our stuff.
Right.
Right.
What's your next question, Darrell? You've got to get tougher than that.
Well, I was going to ask about the bicentennial financial report, but you said that would be coming here soon.
I talked to her. I didn't. Let's see. Who talked to her? Either Diana or Julie talked to the treasurer, and I think they had just a couple of small bills to pay. And then the Board of Works will get that report, and it'll be the Board of Works. And I suppose, Fran, we would appoint a committee, and we'd work together and see what we're going to do. I know it's not the Derby anymore. What's it called?
Downhill Derby.
Downhill Derby is going to be held here, and they've asked if they could have a little of that money for seed money. I would think the Board of Works would be receptive, and I'm just guessing at that because we're two of us of the Board of Works, but we have three others. We have to build those memorial plaques for the bicentennial and the centennial. They had a dinner meeting, and they all put suggestions in what they'd like to see that excess money used for. And I'll present those to the Board of Works and see what the Board of Works. But the Board of Works has the ultimate say so what happens to the money.
Well, let's talk about these old buildings. I know beforehand you were talking about some legislation, but what would you like to see the state do? And I know you've been up there to testify before.
What happens is you tear down a building, and the law says if it's a single house, you can put a lien up to $5,000 on it. So we tear down a house that costs us $11,000. We put a $5,000 lien on it. The person that owns the property still owns the property. Now they can't sell it because they can't until they clear our lien. But it's an unfair thing, and what we've tried to do in the past is to get, if the liens were higher than the appraised value, the city could take the property. Then we could say you got a neighbor on this side, you could sell, hey, you buy half and you buy half, we can get our money back. That works good. But we can't because no matter how much money you put into it, the property still belongs to the original owner, except for the lien. And I think we'll just go ahead and approach that. The property on 8th Street, I get criticized because it's over there by me. Well, there's a house in between my funeral home and that property. It really doesn't bother me. I don't like the mess over there. I wouldn't like that mess anyplace in Connersville. And I don't like the danger, and I know Fran doesn't.
No, absolutely not.
But here's the deal. The people own that property. If the city demolishes that property, no matter what we spend, we can put a lien up to what we spent, or maximum of $20,000 on it. That property can't be sold to anybody. To me, I had some people in my office the other day said, well, you'll get that property for $200. No, there's a lien of $20,000 going to be on that property. And anybody who wants to pay $20,000 for that postage stamp land on the curve of 8th Street, go to it. I'm going to take the council's advice. I'm going to try to rent a trackhoe. I've been talking with Billy Dunsel. He's our maintenance superintendent. He runs our machines. He's capable of doing that. He worked with Jerry Rader for years and years. He's capable of doing that. You got to be good to do because it's so close. But we're going to try and do that. We're going to try and do it. If we're successful and we learn that we can rent a trackhoe and we can do it that way, maybe we can save money down the road. If we crash that other house, I'm going to go to the council and say, I told you so.
Hopefully.
Let me tell you something. Tonight at the City Council in Richmond, City Council chambers, the state is putting on a meeting. They have appropriated, and I believe the figure is $221 million toward tearing down houses in cities in the state of Indiana. I couldn't go because we had this program. John Baker and Diana were going to go, our grant writer and our attorney. I didn't expect them to drive over there in this tonight, so they didn't go. But IAC will put on another seminar shortly, and we'll go to that. I don't know what that's going to do, but I think it's going to help us. So there is something in the plan to help us. Every city has this problem.
Right. Okay, one that I don't know that I've ever
What do you think we should do? Now, you got an answer for these houses. What did they do in Hagerstown?
Well, actually, I've never heard them. All I get to do is read the local paper there because I obviously can't go to their town council meetings. But I've not heard that discussion come up or read about that discussion.
So isn't a problem?
I know Cambridge City, about 2 years ago, maybe 3, the Wayne County Commissioners, of course, they got some properties through the tax sale and it didn't sell, and so I think rather than go through the commissioner certificate sale, offered it to Cambridge City, and I think they ended up with 3 properties, and the town demolished them. And
the town paid for it then?
Yeah.
Fran,
how many have we demolished? We've demolished several, haven't we?
Oh, yes, over the years, right, Your Honor. Yes, we've had, in all sections of town, we've brought houses down. On Ohio Avenue, I remember, there was a double house up there, I believe, that we brought down.
I remember this one over on Western, bottom of a hill at 3rd Street Hill.
Yes, and then recently we took the one on 2nd Street.
Yep, the red house.
There have been several that we have demolished because of the danger of them, and we felt we had to, advised by the attorney that we're liable once we receive a court order. It's our responsibility to rectify the situation, and you have to take action. You just can't. They're not going to go away themselves. And it's unfortunate we have to spend taxpayers' dollars, but I don't see any other way.
Have we ever spent that? Have
I
we
don't
always
think
used
so.
Riverboat?
I think we've used Riverboat, I think, for most.
Explain Riverboat to the people. I have people every day say, what is this Riverboat? Tell them what that is, Fran.
Well, it's funding that the state distributes from money that they get from all the gambling sites in Indiana. And I'm not sure what the formula is for distribution, but we receive close to $90,000 a year. It's not connected with the Lawrenceburg. There's a problem with the Lawrenceburg money that was distributed. This is different from that, but it's a program that has been in existence since the riverboats and all the gambling areas have been open, and I'm thankful for it. Every city receives money through Riverboat, but that's where it comes from. It's from the gambling boats and the gambling casinos. The profits that they make go to the state, a certain amount, and then it's distributed from the state. So
we have an ordinance that says that ours has to be used for equipment, and we don't use it for salaries. Some cities have an ordinance that spend it on salaries. It just disappears. And if it wasn't for that Riverboat money, we'd be hurting because we bought lawnmowers, we've stuff for police, fire, everything.
Yeah, you did the Roberts building.
Well, most of that money. Yeah.
And we use it to buy police cars. used it for many, many things, and it's, as you say, it's been invaluable to the city.
I had that figure here. I was going to tell you how much. Just $40,000 in donations. The Roberts Building, total cost for renovating that building. Remember now, our first bid was $850,000. Our
$850,000.
$850,000.
Yes.
Our total cost done is $184,175. $38,638 was donated. $145,536 came from the riverboat. Not one penny of taxpayers' money on your house or your gasoline or anything else went into that building.
And I'm not sure if the people are familiar or know of the access to it at the rear of the building for folks that are in wheelchairs that can't make steps. Yeah. We have an elevator back there for them to use. So it's just a great asset to the park and the facilities that we have.
Well, one that it's kind of my own personal thoughts. How do you justify making donations to an organization using tax dollars? I mean,
I've always wondered about that ever since I've been on.
Is that the responsibility of a government entity to fund these groups? You've had a few come over I forget which one was the first, and then you had another one, and then another one.
We've given money in the past to the Boys Club. We've given it to senior citizens. We've given to fireworks. Help me, Fran. We gave to this program, Fuel. Mm-hmm. And then the one Holly Dunn is doing, we've given to that.
Well, that's Fuel.
The Haven thing.
But
I don't know.
Where do you say no? Because there's a lot of worthwhile organizations out there, and they're going to be hurting for cash. They're going to say, well, let's go to the city.
Well, we allow them to have a bucket drive
well, that's
on the intersection.
They do some work on that.
We give them that permission.
And that's a donation. That's not the tax man coming and forcing.
Well, it's called home rule, and a city can do that.
I understand
if they want to. How do you draw the line? That's a city council decision.
I'm not sure what guidelines we follow or anything, but when they make an appeal, if it's legal, we've had some people that have come in that would like to get money, but we find out that they aren't a nonprofit organization or something. We have to turn them down. But most of the time, we're receptive. We try to help them if we can, if we think it's a good cause and will benefit a lot of people. I guess that's a criteria.
Okay.
I've always wondered about that, even when I was on city council. I think when you look at the IAC manual, we got a manual we go by about that thick. We're supposed to do things to protect the people, number one. So we do that with fire, police, first aid unit, tearing down buildings, keep you safe, plow your streets, see that you're safe all the time. That's our number one priority in the city. And then our second is to make your life more comfortable and make your living good, parks and recreation. And we have an obligation to provide that for our children. We have to provide that back to our taxpayers. When you do all of those things, it enhances your community, and then people want to live there. This man that's starting this organic growing here is going to move here. He lives, believe it or not, in Carmel today. And I had lunch with him yesterday. I have lunch with him on a regular basis. He can't wait to live in Connersville. He likes how everybody treats him nice. He likes it's safe. Today we had the National Weather Service give an honor to
Art Mayhem.
I don't know if you heard the conversation out in the hall. They were asking me how safe our town was and why would you want to live here. And I was telling them, I said, we have a murder here about every 10 years. And basically, if you look at the statistics, it's about every 10 years. Did you ever watch Channel 8 or 6 or 13? They murdered 2 or 3 in Indianapolis. What if you're one of those 2 or 3 every night? And now they're having home invasions. Now, we've had some break-ins. And we've had some purse snatching, and our detectives are on it. I think they got the purse snatcher in jail tonight. I really think they do.
Good.
This is a safe town to live in. And it's a good town to live in. If you need help, just talking about bucket drives, look at the people that stand out in them streets, cold, rainy, wet, to make life better for somebody else. So there's a lot of good reasons to live in a community like this. You know, we like it. I don't. People go, "You live in Connersville?" Yeah, we live in Connersville. We like it.
Sure.
Yeah. What's wrong with it? I don't know. I got the most gorgeous garden in the summertime that grows good. I don't like the snow today.
Well,
that didn't come from Connersville.
No, that didn't. You got to go far south to get away from that. Let's quickly try to hit upon the EDG. I know we've got some problems there. And what would you like to see happen?
Me?
Yes.
I don't like the idea, and I get criticized every time I open my mouth, that we put our money over there, and then I got to go beg when we have a project, beg for money back to get the project going. They say they're going to hire a director. So be it. I think a director, and everybody's against me, but I don't know what a director would be doing right now because we don't have buildings, and I know that people are looking that want to move their business, want to find a building. It used to be they wanted a shovel-ready piece of ground, they'd build a building. Now they want buildings. You can talk to site consultants all over Indiana. They want buildings. I just got a manual today from Garmong, and they're showing 5 buildings that are erected and constructed and ready to move into. It's hard to compete with that, and we don't have that here. I would like to take the money and put a shovel or a spec building on the 58 acres we have north of town, and I think in a year we could fill it. I really do. I think we should use our money to promote and help the businesses that are here to grow. Our best possibility to create jobs is to grow it. For instance, Stamp, we help them grow, they're growing. Blower, we help them grow, they're growing. SAPA, help them grow, they're growing. I can't, the best thing would be to have a director and a spec building. I don't really believe we can afford both. I don't know. That's just my opinion. I get criticized for it. But I believe it because I work with it every day and I talk to these people. I know what they need. We've shown the D&M building, the old D&M building, time after time. There's too many problems there.
Yeah, it's an old building.
It's an old building. Well, just look at Wyzetta putting $12.5 million in 500,000 square feet in the Visteon building. Tremendous expense to renovate a building. If you saw these spec buildings, brand new with 35-foot ceilings, no floor in them, they're ready to put the plumbing in and put the floor in 90 days they can be in business. They usually build them about 50,000 or 100,000 square foot, expandable. I would like to see that. Then I'd like to go after some Asian companies to come in there. Look at the towns around us, Shelbyville, Franklin. They all have got Asian parks. They've built those buildings, and they've got Asian people coming in. I've been to China. I know what's going on over there. Wages are getting high. They have to provide a dormitory for the people to live next door to the factory. They don't have health care, but if they cut their finger off, they have to pay for it. If they get sick, they pay for it. That's what they do. So they do have health care. It's getting expensive. They're restless. Things are different. The air quality is bad. Their safety is terrible. They're too crowded. They don't have but a postage stamp grass. They want to come to America. They want to expand over here. A lot of people are not wanting to buy Chinese things, but when a Chinese company comes over here and starts producing it here, then people buy it. And I think we could have an Asian park out here and put hundreds of jobs in. And we don't have the money to do both. So, I'm not very popular at the Economic Development Board meeting. But I can't help it. That's what I believe. Fran, expound. What do you think?
Is council going to, you basically cut the funding this year?
Well, we still gave them 60.
Yeah,
didn't we?
but you had been giving them more.
We matched what the county gave them.
Right. But that's
and I only felt that was fair. But we've had directors in the past and haven't had a whole lot of success. So I'm not sure a director now would have any success. As the mayor pointed out, what do we have to offer right now to prospective people other than the buildings that are being shown? The mayor shows the buildings quite often, and I don't think the time is right now for a director. I think they should wait and have something to offer a prospective employer.
Well, we're sitting in a building that's caused a little controversy. We don't have a lot of time left, but kind of justify, and I know it's not technically the city's building, it's redevelopment commission, but kind of justify that if you would.
We were up to the end of the year. CEC was going out of business. We have 120 jobs downstairs. We have this beautiful studio up here. The redevelopment commission was the last-ditch effort to keep it going. The utilities would have been shut off. The lights would have been shut off. The water. They had to take it. They had no choice. They wrestled with it for 2.5 hours. I sat and watched them. They finally said, we'll take it, and John Baker, our attorney, hustled through a quick claim deed, and they deeded it over to redevelopment, and we're here tonight, and redevelopment is in charge. John is volunteering as the manager of the building. I think it was courageous of those 5 people on the redevelopment board who have zero finances. They didn't have one nickel the night they took this building. Now, they'll get the rent and the percentages of utilities. Eventually, they'll be able to pay the bills here. What else could they have done? Let it shut down and lose those jobs and try to move this studio?
There was no alternative.
Yeah.
That was the only thing that could be done.
They were courageous people on a board, which is an arm of the city, that did it. Now, where they go from here, I don't know. I think they'll try to find an owner for this building. And that's, when you look at it, redevelopment board, that's what they do. They redevelop the town.
Well, they were involved in the Wayzata building, weren't they?
We had to.
They had control of it, and eventually turned it over to the Wayzata people.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we couldn't. We would have had to take bids and go through all the formalities,
right,
so we turned it over to them, and they did it for us. We only have 2 minutes left. I thank you, Daryl, for coming.
Appreciate the invitation. Always,
Fran,
always a pleasure.
I appreciate. Fran is, when I get to take a vacation, Fran's right there. If I can't go to a ribbon cutting, he's right there. He's raised the flags. He's done so many things. He's a deputy mayor is what he is, and I'm proud of it. He does a great job.
Well, I enjoy doing it, and I guess one of the most important things I remember from last year was January 1 when you were out of town, and that was the beginning of the bicentennial, and I stood there in the rain and snow and wind reading a proclamation, and those Boy Scouts without any coats on raised a flag, and that was the start of the bicentennial. It was a great year. And
I was on a phone in Michigan listening to him do it. I was in the bedroom, crouched down, listening to him do it. I was so proud that he was doing it. Well, this is Connersville Speaks for this time. We got 1 minute left. I thank my guests, my president of the city council, your president, Fran Schomel.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Daryl Smith, who does a wonderful job writing for the paper, keeps us informed. I don't always agree with him, but he does do a good job. We appreciate tonight. We hope that we've shed some light on the city, and if there's any questions, feel free to call Fran or call myself at the office or whatever you want to do. But for tonight and for Connersville Speaks, try to keep warm. And thank you so much for listening to us, and good night.